Rus versus Rus Mirror, but don't worry, guys, because it is going to be on something other than Boulder Bay. Could you imagine? You know, I bet for a moment we all thought that I was serious. I even thought I was serious for a moment. I believed for a second. I was like, Mr. versus B? Nah. They do this on King of the Hill. No. It's time for it. I'm afraid I can only keep it at bay so long, my friends. By I mean I had no control. I don't help these players choose. I wish I did. So that when both of them look and they go, I'm going to pick Rus on Boulder Bay, I could just ban them from doing so. Maybe we would have got an interesting matchup. Maybe we still will. Because if there was any series that was going to feature Rus Mirror, and one player not go on water, it would be this one, right? Come on. We'll see. I doubt it, because Mr. already has 5 people on wood. So I think we are just going to get the thing that makes us scream. It is just going to be the dock on dock. However, B was much quicker to this. Surprising coming out from Mr. Like this delay is going to put him behind. When we look at the generation, oh my god! What? What? Mr. literally chose the worst location. Sorry, second worst. You could always have put it here. He chose the worst, second worst, sorry. Second worst location on his coast. Meanwhile, B, a little smile on his face, feeling chuffed with himself, gets free deep water fishes right next to his dock. Are you kidding me? What? Did B come by this map earlier and sprinkle fish food near the shore or something? Because this is absurd. This is actually so unfair. And this is exactly what I hate about mirror matchups right now. I mean, you know, if this is Rus versus HRE or something, you can see a different strategy. But now, in a lot of ways, Mister's just going to follow in the footsteps of B. He was already behind on dropping the dock, and now he has to wait so much longer to start accruing resources when he spawns these fishing boats. Also, if he wants to continue to use them, they're out in the middle of the sea. They're exposed. Meanwhile, B instantly protected in his base. As happy as lamb. And B, like, you just see the escalation, right? Look at the food. Look at the food right now. Mister's also got to be feeling frustrated and drained after game 2. Like, that took a toll. That went the mile. And B, like, it was death by 1,000 cuts. He didn't make it quick and decisive, right? Like, he took his time. He toyed with him. He played with his prey. And now you go into map 3. And he's a smart enough cookie that he's going to understand what's happened when he sees how quick B's tech up's going to be. He's going to understand what happened when he pushes in initially with his attack ships and then sees how many deep water fishes are right next to B. And that's going to, like, morale drain. Frustrated as well. Because you know this series is going to go the long haul, especially when you're going to be playing from behind. Like, in theory, you're going to be behind your opponent, right? I say that somehow, some way, it looks like Mr. has escalated his fishing fleet. And I think this is because B intentionally left a gap. However, that gap isn't that big. Look at it. Mr.'s not far behind him. Well, this just got interesting. Is there going to be a switch up, though? No transport ship from either player yet. Remember, the transport ships build 5 seconds quicker, although they do cost more. However, you make back most of that difference, if not all of it, when it comes to the conversion cost. B, already prepping himself. He's going to have his archer ship first, and that means Mr. might have to abandon the food line. There it is. Tech up. B immediately converts, and there it is. Shift. Mr.'s like, nope. Nope. Break off. Take shorefish. Don't be greedy. And the reason is this damage adds up quickly. Remember, with no range resistance, with 5 damage per shot in bursts of 5, it only takes 5 rounds of attacks to kill off these fishing boats. A nice move there coming out from Mr. He's going to convert the boat. No, what? What? Oh my god. What just happened? Did he just delete the boat? Where did it go? Oh my god, he tried to cancel it, but I think he deleted it. Is that an intended behavior? No. I'm pretty sure when you cancel an upgrade, your boat isn't meant to sink, right? I'm trying to remember if it does that automatically, because I kind of try to avoid this scenario of Roos and Roos. I'm pretty sure I've seen people successfully cancel the upgrade before. There's no way that's intended. He must have hit delete. Oh my god. I think he at least got refunded the resources, but to lose that boat like that, that's not good. Now, Mista, he converts the whole fleet and goes aggressive. He has no choice. Could that have been PopCap? I think it was. Oh my god. If that's the behavior from PopCap to lose like that, I don't know what that was. I'm going to have to go back and check that later. But what a way to lose this game and give B a point up. I cannot believe that. Mista unintentionally ends up with a sunk boat. The boat that was going to be his archer ship. And that is the difference. As soon as Mista moves in, as soon as he sees his counter on the count, and as soon as he sees the layout of the fish, he knows it's all but over. He will not prolong this for good reason. He calls GG. And B earns himself a very quick point on the board. Maybe he deleted it? Wait. He didn't, like, Mista invest. So I think, yeah, he got the resource back. He had to delete it, right? Yeah. So it's because he deleted it. But that cripples him. I understand why he does it. He's going to lose the ship either way. So yeah, because you can't. I don't think you can cancel it. So yeah, that must be it. So he deletes it on purpose because he knows he's going to lose it, which is understandable. But it's so crippling the way that happens. Like, I'm surprised he tried for the upgrade on the side. Like, he knows he's going to bait B in. B's going to go for it straight away when he sees one ship branch off. And he essentially just hands him the game because of that. And I think the final nail in the coffin, the detail that really pushed Mista over the edge and convinced him the game was over, was when he walked, when he sailed across to B side of the map, and you'll see it here. Like, he shifts in, he moves through, he sees he's actually massed the correct amount of archer ships to counter him, and Mista's done by then. He sees 2 more ships converting, and he understands he's behind. Far too far behind. He's also cut off from his own dock, so he can't even play off the back of healing underneath his own dock to save him. And Mista, as kind of fitting with him, this lad doesn't like long series. He doesn't want to waste time on a game that even if he peels it back, it's going to take another 20, 30 minutes. So instead, he respectively calls GG. He moves on. We're finally there. Let's get underway with game number 4 as we hop in with Mista versus B here on Hillendale. It's going to be old Kings of the Hill. Wait, I shouldn't say it like that. That's confusing for maps. Old Kings of the Hills and Dales versus new Kings of the Hills and Dales. Maybe new Kings of everything, because it feels like Delhi are just dominant wherever you pick them right now. But they have been the tumor that just ends HRE time and time again. It is a very hard matchup. We've seen so many times the HRE get dominated on Delhi, because the problem they face when they're looking down the barrel of the Delhi Empire is that in this matchup, it's all about religion on both sides. The difference, however, is the timing. Your power spike is very different. As the HRE, your power spike comes later in the Castle Age. You want to rush into it. You want to get your hands on those juicy relics and get 300 gold per minute for each one you net. The problem with that, the obstacle in your way, is the Delhi Sultanate dragging out the feudal age. They're militarily present early on because they want to control the center mass earlier than you, which won't only deny you getting the relics later on, but also benefits them because they'll get access to the sacred sites, and with Sanctity, they're able to cap them in feudal age and generate 200 gold per minute. That's a big boost to their eco. And the problem is that you can't ignore this and scale instantly in Castle, because to do so means you actually sacrifice any ability to get out. You won't have a military force. You won't have anything to actually push out your base. And although you might last a little bit longer in theory, or at least you'll reach your castle age, you won't be able to leverage the economical advantages that the HRE looks towards. So that's the issue. Because if you do get dragged into the feudal, which is what happens up against the HRE, the longer feudal goes, the more Delhi benefits. Because as they capture the sacred sites, as the slogs go back and forth, they're trickling gold, you're not. You're not getting access to your gold trickle until the next stage up. So that's the weakness of the HRE. That's why we've seen Delhi absolutely stomp the HRE time and time again. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, Sanctity timing, usually the way this works out is it'll be efficient production. Once fuel age ticks up around like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, after that, it's 3 more minutes to get into Sanctity. So you can see the problem, right? Even if you try to thinly, like, push directly into, like, a fast castle, which with, like, perfect optimization, you're probably looking at, like, 8.5 minutes, right, as the HRE. You won't have any military if you do that. And that means that on the other side, Mista, he's going to be pushing out troops because, well, these researchers are free. So he's got all this economy that he doesn't need to net to go into castle. He's going to net into an early military presence, knowing that he gets a double whammy factor of not only denying you from picking up relics, but then also securing those sites. So, opening-wise, nice thing to see from B. He's optimizing his economy. You see the product placement, and there it is. I knew it. I knew it. I could feel it. B had done this in the Winner Stays On series against Doubt, where he was up against Delhi there as well. He's going to build the Minework Palace here also. But in that game, the Minework Palace did not bear any useful fruit. So I'm surprised he goes into it again. Doing this might give him some flexibility around Siege, with quicker access to Siege Engineering. But overall, I think it's fair to say most players haven't been a fan of the Minework Palace build. It saves you some wood on building the blacksmith, yes. I'll give you that. 150 wood saved. However, everything else about this landmark is silly. Like, read what it does. 25% reduction in tech cost. That's big savings. What are you on about, Pigeon? Oh my god, with those savings, I could afford to buy a house. Yeah, with those savings later on in the game. But you know what you want out of a Tech 2 landmark? Value in Tech 2. The problem is that 25% off the research costs of early phase tech, as you can see, isn't that big. You can see that when you take 25% away from this, like 50 food, 125 gold. Okay, 37 food, 93 gold. That's not exactly a big saving, right? That's like a few villages drop off once. Where you should, in theory, get the value out of Minework Palace is late game. When you're talking about tech-free researchers, costing an arm and a leg, wowee, that's when it's good. But what are you sacrificing in the meantime? An Archon Chapel that can buff up your entire eco on a map like Hillendale. It's in fact why Hillendale is so popular, the HRE, is because you're able to actually scale instantly in Imperial while maximizing fully Archon Chapel. Like every single one of your villages gathering 40% quicker all the way up to Imperial. So to go for Minework Palace, you now have to basically spend a lot more in prelates. So you can see already, he's got 2 in the field. He'll need a third before he knows it. He's up at 17 villages. Once you crack to about 24, 25, you want another prelate out. Because remember, these prelates, the maximum they can buff is 10 villages. It takes 3 seconds to do the inspiration and the cooldown, and then it lasts for 30 seconds. So you can only buff 10 at a time. So this is a bit worrisome unless B is all in. And it looks like he might be. Rax is being dropped already. I need to see what he's going to do here. I love the rallying, by the way. He actually pushed the deer towards the TC, so that's actually really optimal out of him. But there is actually a window. If he's quick enough to move across with spears and whatnot, he can try to ram rush in. But there's a reason we don't really see ram rushes as frequently. The timing around ram rushes has changed, at least in terms of success rate. Normally, what you want to do, if you want to make a ram rush work, is you box your opponent in first with outposts, you stage an army, and then you move in for the kill. This cheesy, I'm going to end you at 8 minutes because rams, woo, isn't as effective anymore. And I'm concerned that that might be the only option available for the B at this rate. But I could be proven wrong. I would actually love to be proven wrong. I do love that he's getting marching drills straight away. Really big thumbs up. I think a lot of players actually just turn their nose up at this research every time. And I don't understand why. It's unique to your faction, and it's one of your best researchers. Marching drills is phenomenal. And it will have some value here. Spears. Trying to move out. Oh, B. Nice denial. He'll prevent the wall-ins from coming out. Nice move there by B to ensure that he'll have options to move out of his base. Because he has Spearman coming as well. He will be able to deal with the Spearman here. So, Mista won't be able to hang around and just burn down this Palisade wall with 150 health. Instead, he's going to be pushed away. And B. What's the next step in this plan? I'm curious. Because he did drop the stable as well. I have seen some horseman plays out of HRE players. And this is what I was talking about, by the way. This is the weakness that you actually incur when you play the HRE versus Delhi. is he's going to be forced to react to everything coming his way. So he's gone for the Spearman and he's gone for the Horseman. Because in theory, that counters what most Delhi players do. Because most Delhi players, they go into archery range and stable. Most of them don't really necessarily go straight into the racks. That comes later if they see like a counter needed. But Mr. is wise to this. He's played this matchup a lot. He understands the power of Delhi on this map and where HRE is strong. So he makes the triangle straight away. He's going to have all 3 unit types. He's going to be jack of all trading. And he's ensuring that B has to invest everything in now. Now, this doesn't write B out. There is a way he can still take this. And I had to say, B is doing a phenomenal job of actually scaling his eco while being present with a military force. Something that he absolutely has to do because he can't allow Mr. to take control of this mid-ground for free at any stage in the game. Mr. actually matching what B is doing. Both of them, phenomenal job here. As the series is going on, both of them are starting to actually match each other in terms of vision control. So they both have eyeballs on what each are doing. This is going to be very important. So B already knows what his opponent is pushing out. He has eyes on all 3 of these military buildings. On the other side, Mr. has snuck in and he knows about the stables. He knows about the racks. This is really cool. This is actually very different to what we've seen so far out of the previous 2 series. The previous 2 series, scouting never really changed in terms of the prioritization for both players. One was dominant and the other one was pretty ignorant. In this series, I feel like Mr. has continued to like scale his optimization around scouting. He's actually been pretty good from the start. Like out of all the age-specific players compared to the craft players, like he's been matching to a certain extent B. B has still been escalating and getting more vision out initially at the start of the series. But as we move through and now we're in game 4, all of a sudden Mr. he understands the full value and he's making sure he basically plays B at his own game and gets all the info he can. And B already prepping around these sites, almost ready for the tech up. However, he only has one way out of his base because he never addressed the front. So Mr. will be able to box him in here, and he won't realize this is happening. Just about gets vision now, but I don't think you're going to be quick enough. I'm pretty sure Mr. can just quick wall this if need be, and you're going to be blocked in. In the meantime, B does move in with his horseman, but look at the count, my God. And this is the ludicrous nature of the Delhi. But the more insane part, folks, is this isn't even efficient, like military efficiency. This isn't even him having a scholar banked. This is simply just him non-stop churning out these horsemen, courtesy of his buffed up eco because of the berry gather rate. And he has so many horsemen in the field. And B, almost being doubled up on the military front. This could get dangerous fast. B, he had to sidestep. He couldn't afford to keep investing in military if he wanted his timing on the Regnix Cathedral. And he will get that timing. The question is whether he can get those relics. And there's the sacred sites. The oppressive nature of this combo, of this face-off that we're talking about. 4 scholars out here for Mr. as well. So he's going to juice up and keep his lads healed at all times. And that's a bit worrying. So B will complete the tech up. Now he can shift into the Knights. He's going for the double stable. However, with Mr. having this many troops, he might just move in and punish. And here he comes. Scholar's going to move out. They'll secure the sacred sites. And now Mr. is going to turn all eyes onto B's base, making sure that he has to react inside his own base and is unable to naturally move out and grab all these relics. But right now, he needs to move across the east because that's the one way he knows his opponent can get in. I think B misread this and he understands now, which is why he sends out the Horseman. The Horseman might struggle a little bit, though. Where are the spears? Where the... Oh my God, no. No, he ran the spears back into base. Oh, no. B. Mister's going to spot him out. He's going to punish him for this. He knows the timing. He knows exactly where his opponent is going. Wallow's going to come out. Mister will commit in. He surrounds the Prelate, and will bring him down. And then we'll turn around on the Horseman as well. Meanwhile, going wider. B, he needs to sneak this one in. Needs that escalation right now. Moves his Horseman and Spear out, and that will deter Mister. He will be able to sneak in one of these relics. A good start. Second Prelate coming out. We'll try to secure that secondary one. And with Spearman in the formation, Mr. cannot turn around because his archers are so far away. This movement speed buff from 1 to 1.12. Is it going to be good enough? B might have to sacrifice his troops, but he can't really afford to. Needs to buffer him off. Mr. sees what's happening here. B, he has to make this staggered retreat where he's just covering the Prelate so he can get in. That's going to be tough. He needs to wall up, and he knows that there's just so many troops here for Mr. The Prelate's going to be sniped. No way for him to escape. He gets pushed back further away from safety. Knights are now coming out from B, and he can afford this courtesy of the fact he just banked his first relic. The wall's going up, but he hasn't completed quick enough. And it's not a small enough choke point that the Knights can hold them off. Instead, they're going to get maximum value as they zerg over and surround him. And B, this is a strategy he has employed against so many players in the ladders. He loves doing this Horseman Zerg as a deli, and now they're getting their payback. They're using it against him in a tournament format. Push in. Mista, in the meantime, is going up to castle. B, gonna have to push back away from the front line here. He's overwhelmed. And I don't think B has any way to run and hide. The Knights aren't good enough. There's just not enough of them. They'll try and buy time, pulling the Knights back. But B, I think this is looking close to done. I mean, Mista, he's cracked the castle each time. He's done it so casually while applying pressure. And when you've got this many horsemen and archers riding around your base, also being healed up by the scholars, how the hell do you do anything here? Meanwhile, it's going to be a circle jerk on both sides as they have a bunch of religious figures healing up each other. And the marketplace dropped from B. He understands he's not gathering on the food or the wood right now. He needs to use this influx of gold wherever he can. Knight count now up to 5. They'll try to deal with them. Prelates are going to heal him up for the moment. Knights being zerged a little bit. Prelates are being sacrificed to a certain extent, but look at the cross healing. The healing circle jerk, as I like to refer to it, is coming into effect, and the archers aren't going to be quick enough at this rate. Knights even up the count, and it looks like B is actually buffering his opponent back. B still up at 6 Knights. 5 horsemen remaining, 11 archers. This is not looking good for Mista. He's going to be pushed back, but he still does have control of the center. However, look at the religious sites. He only has one of the 3 sacred sites, so he's not even getting the overwhelming gold trickle right now. The Lancers are starting to arrive. And B, he's held him back. The loss of the Prelates is going to be costly, and he's now going to lose some villages as the Lancers will move in underneath the primary TC and force the garrison. Knights will react to this. However, this is where it gets a little bit risky. Because now, I'm pretty sure you can get boxed in harder. And these Lancers are going to be stronger. You can see it. Home Blades 2 minutes out, and that's when your Knights do not match up against the Lancers. Man-arms, you can still compare there, but you have to get all the technological advantages, and that is a long way off for B. He still needs to solidify control by getting more of these relics, but it's going to be denied! Mista! He's getting it! How many has he got right now? Is that his first? I think that is his first. Yep. He takes the closest ones to base. B still has the one on the left side, but because he got walled in here, he doesn't have quick access to this relic right next to his base. That's going to take a while to get through the Knights. Wallow. Oh, the Knights will just about get away. They almost baited themselves in there. Nice body blocks out from the archers. However, these Knights will continue to be quite pressuring, as they will pressure the Lancers deep in the skull of the Scholar and kill them off. Now, looks like the Knights are going to be chased away by the Lancers. And the Scholar can resume the rollback and move that relic further away from the wanting arms of B. B, in the meantime, almost burning through the palisade. Needs an out here so he can get the Prelate forward. Knights starting to count up for B. But Mista still looking healthy with a 12-point lead on the military front. A lot of these are turning into Lancers now. Still, no military efficiency. Even after all this time, Mista still has not banked in the stables. But he is, however, banking some relics. Got one coming in. Still doesn't grab this one on the left here. It's still possible that B can get 3 relics, but it's getting harder and harder to return this one as he's going on a run. Mista just trying to get back home. And B, he doesn't see him. He doesn't have the vision. He's going to find him right now. He sees him just on the edge of the vision here. He'll be able to assassinate him. He was trying to hide by the side because he knew he couldn't outrun the Knights, but he will be slayed in the end. And how we look at the researchers, there's something I'm looking for. It's still not there. Mista, what are you doing? Come on, like, get the swiftness. Taylor Swift those Scholars. Oh, he missed opportunity. And now the Knights finding Mista being greedy on the right side. Left side's going to be safe, but Mista is playing a dangerous game. He needs to keep B locked in. And he's doing it right now. This is nice. No longer a gate here. I know it was my gate, but now it's even easier to run through. Let's go. Straight in on the Scholars. Minus 100 gold. Minus 100 gold. Easy enough to pick apart. He's going to lose a Lancer for his trouble, but gets both the Scholars. That's going to stop the inspiration coming out. And now he jumps in. There's just so many Lancers here. He's trying to move another relic back. We'll go for the wall play. Best thing you can do right now. Archers are going to be able to shift away, however, and that will give him the space to move in and bank a second relic. However, Mista is escalating. It's 31 military to 8, and it feels like B is all but out of this game. His eco is being slaughtered. There's nowhere left to run with barely any economy left, down to 23. It looks like Mista's done it. He proves to us exactly why this is a Delhi home map now. And it looks like B is reluctant to give it up, but really there's nothing left. His wood line's going to be exposed. It's just a non-stop slog of Lancers coming in. He didn't even manage to bank that secondary relic. He can't stabilize anymore. This game is done and over. 18 eco to the 56. Mista will even it up. This one is definitely going the distance as he secures the 4th game here on Hillendale. It's time for game number 5. It's a repeat of the last one. We're going to get some Delhi versus HRE, but this time it's going to be on Danube River. So, 3DB is going to be playing as Delhi in the south, and of course, Mista. Ideal situation here. When you're playing HRE, you really love to see this. You get the corner point, because most of the time, you get very desirable generations where your deer, your gold, your wood, whatever you need tends to be stacked. In this situation, Mista didn't get the pristine spawn. He hasn't got his gold vein in range of the deer, so he can't buff it all. But Nark and Chapel will get him pretty far. It will juice the wood line, and it can juice both the deer and the berries. On the other side, we are going to see B go for a fairly defensive dock placement here. And this does serve a decent purpose as the game goes on. It's going to make it a little bit easier to hold against a back flank if Mista tries to rush him with a back dock drop that we've seen a lot of players do. And also, it's just a nice staging point for you to initially push out units at this crossing so that you don't allow Mista that freedom of movement on your side of the map. So, one big thing we also always have to look at when we talk about HRE and we talk about Danube River is what's the generation of relics like? This is a fairly balanced one. You can see that B's got one at the back here, that's safe. Mista has to fight forward for his, but it is on his side. And then the rest of them are actually very well balanced. This is a really reasonable generation. I feel like this is one big shout I have to give because I can occasionally be critical of the relic devs. I think everyone can. Like, we want things to improve. We want to see this game thrive. One thing I will give them credit for is whatever they've done with the generation for Danube, while other maps are kind of limping along, making some weird generations, Danube, for the most, every time I've been seeing it recently, has been very fair. I think the only match I can think of that was a little bit skewed, I believe it was Kapoch had a game where he had 3 woodlines next to him, and the relics were really placed in conjunction to that. But outside that game, which is, I believe, a Rus and Rus, if I recall correctly, these generations have actually been pretty balanced in terms of relic placement and also resource placement. Like, when we look at these sides of the maps, gold is spread out fairly reasonable. Slight edge, of course, being for B. And then stone as well. Also fairly reasonable. So nothing to just cry home about in this situation. Missed up because he's up against the Delhi. It's been a while since we talked about this because we just see Delhi on land maps first before we even get to the water hybrids. You do have to do this because you are going to be up against the fishing fleet that do have a little bit of pew-pew power to them, able to shoot you for 7 per shot. So nice move there. B does get eyeballs on this, understands his opponent is on the water, and now he's going to scout out the layout because this is going to be very important and very, very crucial to what B wants to do next. If you see that Mista gets that kind of golden triangle of getting his wood, food, and gold, you might feel a little bit pressured to like box your opponent in, try to force him to have nowhere to play towards because you know he's going to escalate age-wise. However, when you see this sort of generation, B just might feel a little bit more cozy about accelerating himself, which is risky against the HRE, but the other issue you have is with the layout of this map and the fact your opponent has already walled himself in, there isn't the easiest of plays for Delhi to make to push across the map. You could go into Horseman, but this is one of the problems when your opponent gets a back corner spawn. When you're talking about Delhi, if they want to go Horseman on this map, usually you want to be the one in the corner, so your opponent is in the center, which allows you to actually push him on both sides. In this situation, it might be a little bit too hard for B to sneak in before Mista walls himself off and secures his hold in this game. So B looking like he's going to be quick on the tech up. And this is all because the way you initially invest. Like, Mr. Why is he actually... I'm trying to actually math this out. He sent one villager out. He's invested a lot in palisades. That has made a decent chunk of the difference up. But I feel like there's something else missed here. Because these numbers don't feel right. What happened? I mean, Mr. won't be too far behind, but I feel like they should be more comparative. It shouldn't be B with a clear 30-second advantage. Mr's going to start to fix it now. I'm wondering if he just wasn't optimal with the initial gathering on the fishing boats and they were moving a little bit too far away. Because although it doesn't seem like it adds up much, you can see how slow these boats do move, so that can hurt a little bit between the points. But looks like Mr. shouldn't be too far behind his opponent. And it should be an Arkan Chapel, so that should just allow him to boost up the wood and gold. Considering he's got food on the waterfront, I don't think he's going to see food on land as the biggest priority. So I am expecting the Arkan Chapel to be dropped about here, right next to the TC. Look at that. I know. I'm just going to push my glasses up. You can't see, but I'm feeling very intelligent right now. The scout is going to be scared away. So this is something that Mr. has to worry about, is, of course, the aggression of these fishing boats, just offsetting any early move by you. It's likely Mr. won't care too much, because now that he's got these walls down at the crossings and he's blocked his opponent's quick rush across, this should just be the point where Mr. plays for those relics. And now that he's made it up into Tech 2, or almost made it up, halfway there, this is when he'll start to just accelerate very quickly. And then it becomes a case of whether B wants to try and pressure him, or if he'll try and scale himself. The key detail here, however, is B cannot allow Mr. to access Imperial Age. It's actually imperative. It's a very uncomfortable matchup for the Delhi if both sides get Imperial because of how long it takes you to get access to your techs. Remember, it's not uncommon for these Delhi players to tech up an Imperial and it take them, say, 13 minutes to get Elite Man-at-Arms. Yes, it's for free, but let's say you have control of the Sacred Sites. You'd rather pay. You'd rather pay 700 gold, 300 food to get that tech up in a minute compared to 13 minutes. So, B. Still no military buildings. A little bit surprising here. And he can't rely on aggression on C. Because, well, at every turn between Tech 2 and Tech 3 research, that is where you feel very weak as the Delhi. I mean, the Dow and the Baglers are pretty underwhelming ships for their costs. So, I don't expect him to rely heavily on that. I expect boom ships to try and hold Mr. hostage. But outside that, I don't think it's fleet presence he's looking for. Instead, B is just fully investing in scalability here. Going for the double blacksmith drop just to try and get all these tech ups. He's going to look to rush in a castle as quickly as Mr. is. And right now, like, the numbers kind of support this. Like, he's continued to escalate food. He's up to 9 fishing boats now. He does need to address his gold soon. And remember, he is being inflated further by the fact that he's gathering on the berry bushes, which did get buffed compared to previous patches, with you now being able to get an additional 30% gathering speed as the Delhi when you go on the bush. B does still need to address that gold. He's starting to shift across now, and there it is, double stable. So instead of going up, he understands. It's HRE. I can't just race him. If I race him, he gets access to the relics. I need to have horsemen out in the field denying the prelates from picking these valuable tools up. Meanwhile, Mr. almost ready himself to go into that Regnitz Cathedral. We will see B starting to shift those scholars out, looking to capture the sacred sites, understanding his opponent. The way that he's boxed himself in the walls is unlikely to have any aggressive units whatsoever, so this should just be free gold trickle for the Delhi player. And I believe at this stage, yeah, Sanctity is about to complete, just 5 seconds out. And he will look to get both sides, although with the scout and the double wolf, it is unfair. B is only going to be able to get one sacred site. It's still going to be decent gold trickle, though. In the meantime, horsemen will start to come out. So shift towards that central island. He sees one of the relics here. The problem is he's denied on the other fronts. He's trying to burn through slowly with the scout, but it's going to take 1,000,001 years. Instead, he will move these horsemen across to deal with the scout. And the scholar will be healthy enough to survive this because the wolves has changed targets. He needs to be careful not to shift it back across the scholar. But he did get the attention of the wolves. He will keep the scholar alive, and it means that he'll be able to secure both sacred sites. as a result of that, he also ensures that Mista can only easily secure 2 relics maximum. He's already prepping the prelate at one location. Mista is shifting towards the central island. This could be a mistake because B snuck in with the outpost. He'll deny him any expansion down the waterfront, and he'll also deny him moving out with his prelates. Now, Horseman have missed his own. He knows he needs to be kind of dynamic, present in the field quickly. He needs to decap these sacred sites. The problem is B already has the edge. He has so many of these Horsemen out. And because Mr. just completed the tech up, he doesn't have that surplus eco to push as many Horsemen right now. There should be a shift out. Yeah, I think there's going to be walls going down. Just wants to deny him. Feels like giving his opponent 2 relics is somewhat manageable as long as he gets the relics himself, but it's going to be hard fought for. You see Mista winning this initial bout in the center, but more Horsemen now coming in for B. All the while, the scout's still trying to burn through the power save, but it's going to be too little too late. Unless he hard invested in this, he wasn't going to get through in time. This prelate will be able to secure the relic. Nice wall-ins now. So B denying the central island. Still needs to address the south. But look at the move. Mista, what's he doing? Oh my god, no. He's going to move back now, but this might buy enough time to burn through. And if he burns through, he's going to deny him the second relic. And that means Mista is only going to be floating an additional 300 passive gold income. That's going to be a big hit. And it's all the greed factor. Look what he was doing here. Instead of just settling on 2 and being happy with that, Mista is a bit of a fat boy. He's a bit of a greedy boy. And with this many Horsemen, you know that B is going to move in and look to punish that one prelate that he can see courtesy of the scout vision. Meantime, walling up continues. And big mistake made there by Mista. Mista will go for the wall, but good luck with that. Butchered by the Horseman. Knights moving out, but now B with so many Horsemen in the field, he can deal with the Knights, and also he's teched up himself, so he will be able to address the Knights directly, and it should be, yep, House of Learning, straight into Home Blades. So in just a few minutes, B will have the superior cavalry. And he's going to guard these relics, you know. And now that he's castled up, he can move out and secure these relics permanently, ensuring that Mista never gets more than 1. And that is going to be crippling for HRE, because you have to remember that Delhi are already getting 400 gold trickle with these sacred sites. If he secures these 3 relics, that's going to be 700 gold going the way of the Delhi player passively, compared to this, well, not even 600, the 300 of Mista. Don't know why I said 600. 700 gold. Words. I'm giving him too much credit. I'm assuming Mista will be able to secure this. He's got Spearman coming out, but B! Oh, he has to know. He has to know that he's going with the prelate. He's got to shift around again, and I think he's going to catch him. He might even sacrifice just to get the scholar down, or the prelate down, rather. Warlord play coming out. B moving in. He has to shift away, though. Nice move. We'll push him off for the moment, but he can easily wrap around, and Stabby McStab is going to come in. And once again, the prelate's going to fall. And that's once again going to cost you an additional villager to sacrifice, because you won't be producing a villager. You have to produce another prelate. That's going to be another 100 gold as well. And while all this is happening, look at the move coming out from Mista. He actually invested in Hulks. I don't remember the last time I saw a Hulk coming out of the HRE. It seems so simple, but yet we see it so rarely. Now the Bagler. Oh, not the Badlers. Not the Badlers, please. I mean, they're not bad against land infantry, but against the Hulk, it's just outright going to lose. Meanwhile, this relic just sitting here in no man's land. How many have been banked at this stage for B? He's already got 1 in. Probably secure a second one soon. Wouldn't be surprised if he's already returning it. Ay, ay, ay. And the Horseman still keeping eyeballs on. The prelate is limping out again. But this time it's Lancers coming out. How close are those home blades? Not far off. I mean, 2 Lancers, though, could easily snipe you out. The Hulk needs to deny them, but unable to do so. Meanwhile, Lancers just trying to raid through on the crossing will be denied there as well. And B has got 3 relics now banked. Is going into the swiftness to try and move out quicker, but here's the prelate. This is important. Mista, if he gets his second relic, he can still float up into Imperial ahead of B. B, not able to deny this quick enough, is not in position to counterattack and take out the prelate again. Instead, he's going to let up. Remember, the sacred sites have been ticking for what, I want to say 3 minutes now. So, Mista will have to come out soon. And if he just rushes Imperial, that might leave him vulnerable to getting a little bit too close to the sun here and allowing that Sacred Site timer to tick down a little bit too low. Double Battler. And now the explosive Dows are coming out. And this is where you get choked in. Remember that Mista so far, the only ranged unit he has in his composition is a Hulk. There's no landmass. There's no siege. Right now, he's zerging racks and stables, which means he can actually be held hostage on these crossings. And now War Elephant's coming out. Going to be chased down by the spears. Lancers. Nice brace coming out. Will deny them for getting the maximum damage in. And that's going to force him back. But these elephants are slow to move. Surprising choice by B to go in the War Elephant as opposed to the Tower Elephant here. An explosive down. Wait, did he lose one? Okay, no, it's on its way. Battlers will just hold the crossings. Aren't going to push into Hulk territory. Now, the Hulk with the shuffle can obliterate the Dow before it reaches, but you have to be looking. And Mista is not. Boom, boom. Bye-bye. Obviously not the most damage in the world. Only 220. But it will add up. Really needs to escalate the Dows. I think if he brings them in, the boom ships in like 2 or 3 at a time, all of a sudden he can actually choke Mista out. But right now, Mista is building up the central island. Siege Workshop coming down. And the numbers are looking favorable for Mista. B is in a little bit of trouble here. Push in. Lancers trying to peel off. This is getting a bit wonky. And there's what we're looking for. Tower Elephants now coming out. Nice wall timing by B to deny any entry onto his side of the map. And now that Mista has those 2 relics, you can see he's starting to flow eco. He's moving towards Imperial, and B's nowhere near ready. He doesn't want to go Imperial. He needs a big enough force to apply pressure and punish Mista the moment he goes for Imperial. But this composition right now is questionable. It's Spearmen. You're up against Spearmen. And all you have are things that Spearmen love to see. As the Lancers slow to move away, this formation shuffling not ideal. He needs to separate the Lancers from the Elephants. It really is costing him that breakaway, and he's taking a lot more damage than need be. The good news, however, is his Scholars heal fast. As you can see, he's offsetting a lot of the damage being done. More Lancers coming in the meantime. B just trying to max himself, even after the assistance of the fishing boats. That's why he's holding near the shoreline. However, siege weapons are coming out. It looks like it's going to be Springles for Mista, though. He doesn't have any interest in Mangonels or anything of the sort. Understandable. He just wants to prevent B from getting any sort of edge, because the play for B in this situation is to roll Mangonels out. When you see this many Spearmen, it's such an easy target. So, Mista just preemptively jumping ahead and transitioning before his opponent does. And oh my god, Lancers, what's going on, B? He didn't see it. Big mistake made. Loses a few of the cav units, but now he's got the Tower Elephants, and all of a sudden, Mista might have to give over some ground. More researchers coming through, so B starting to accelerate his gathering rates. You can see he's actually looking a lot more healthy than Mista. And Mista, he's not holding tech up anymore. He's having to double down because he's seeing the pressure B is bringing. As this elephant army starts to build up, it puts more pressure on Mista to be present now, because if you do not address it before it reaches you, remember that these elephants are phenomenal siegers. They will burst through your walls and burst through your base in the blink of an eye. Elephants moving back. Lancers being sacrificed because they're stuck in the slow formation. Spearman trying to chase through. Has got the marching drills, so you move quick on top of them. However, these numbers, I don't think this is good right now. Not for Mista. If he can pin the elephants, it's a different matter, but you can see he's just being juked and jived as it stands, and most of his spearmen are already dead. I say most, he's still got a healthy amount, but it's taken him ages to get through each individual elephant as it stands. And the Lancers are exploiting this. As they target the elephant, the Lancers get the full charge in damage, and they are having impact. Man-at-Arms now coming out means B is able to repulse Mista away, and now he has a formidable army, and Mista is going to be stuck away from Imperial for even longer as he has to reinvest. Look at the difference here. B up at 72 military. Meanwhile, Mista drained down to 27, and Spearman is not going to cut it anymore. And this is dangerous. 7 Tower War Elephants, they will move forward. This Siege Workshop is going to be worthless. You don't have an answer. The only thing between you and utter annihilation is a single Hulk. And I don't like those odds. After I watched that video of an elephant swimming in the southern seas from India, I'm pretty sure they're happy to take on anything naval-wise. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Fishing fleet's going to be butchered. They've drained it dry so quickly. Remember this nerf. Shoreline fish only worth 500 now. And Hulk now being targeted out. You can see how the damage adds up quickly with 32 damage coming out. And B, he's almost got the Sacred Site victory. This is the whole thing. He can just push in and pressure. It just doesn't matter. As long as he holds the Sacred Sites, he'll win either way. And this boom ship hasn't even been detonated. He doesn't even realize it. Mista, it's just sitting here. He could have done so much damage right now, but instead he misses the opportunity. B gets away with it and keeps the elephants alive. Oh, this is my worry. Mista, pinned in a corner. Only one choice remains. Print Villagers. But this will leave him very exposed. The moment the tech up is going to be complete, B is likely to just plow straight in deeper with the elephants. And I'm not sure he's going to be ready for it. I mean, not that it even matters. It's the Sacred Sites. I think the Sacred Sites are what's about to ticket. We must be close to the timer now. Apologies, we don't have the exact time, courtesy of the lack of any timer here. Yeah, that's it. That's the timing. It's going to tick over. Mista has no way out. B just makes it look trivial. The escalation in the center, the control around those Sacred Sites shows you exactly why Delhi used to always